Paddy Pimblett remains undefeated in the UFC after defeating Jared Gordon via unanimous decision. But the fight result hasn't gone down too well with fans around the world. Footage has emerged of Dana White and Joe Rogan reacting to Bruce Buffer calling out Pimblett's name for the victory. You can tell from the footage that White is pretty concerned about what decision is going to be made, before sheepishly nodding when the Brit's name was announced. This reaction was the opposite of UFC presenter Joe Rogan, who was spotted shaking his head, shocked that the judges would award Pimblett the win. Take a look at Rogan's. Paddy Pimblett responds to UFC 282 decision backlash. UFC lightweight Paddy Pimblett has shrugged off suggestions that he didn't win his fight against Jared Gordon. Despite the backlash from many fans and fighters, Pimblett was adamant that he indeed won all 3 rounds of the fight. And one reason for this was, as he explained at the UFC 282 post-fight press conference, that Gordon's face was far more damaged than his.
Everyone's got an opinion, lad. The opinions are arseholes, you know what I mean? Everyone's got one. I know I won that fight, simple as. I deal in facts, lad, and I won a unanimous decision. It's not even like it was a split decision. Look at his face and look at mine. Fight gets scored on damage now. I landed a lot more damage. End of.
The UFC's rising star did, however, admit that he had sustained damage elsewhere, namely his ankle. And Pimblett said that had Gordon been more open to striking, he would have had a significant advantage. He also claimed that he wasn't even happy about his performance. Take a look.
A little bit disappointed in my performance, but at the same time I'm not, because I went 15 minutes. It's the first time I went 15 minutes in the UFC, and against someone that I know has got the cardio to go 15 hard minutes.
Conor McGregor encourages Paddy Pimblett following his controversial win at UFC 282. While it seems the majority of the MMA world doesn't believe Paddy Pimblett won his fight at UFC 282, Conor McGregor has now given his input, congratulating the Brit for doing all the right things. In a now-deleted tweet, Conor McGregor extended his congratulations to Paddy Pimblett despite the controversy that surrounded the Scouser's win against Jared Gordon on Saturday. Paddy the Baddie. Doing all the right things despite what you think. Great stuff. Onward. McGregor has publicly praised the Liverpool resident numerous times and is a fan of the 155er's good friend and long-term training partner, Molly McCann. He even FaceTimed the pair while they were visiting his Black Forge Inn pub in Dublin, which is owned by McGregor. Take a look.
Paddy, hello to the boss, the main man, the owner of the pub.
Yeah, lad, I'm back up to 91 kg. I'm back up to 90.
Dana White clarifies Conor McGregor versus Michael Chandler comments. It was reported earlier this week in a to-be-released interview with ESPN's Brett Okamoto that White said that Chandler is McGregor's likely return opponent. This excited fans and pundits around the sport as McGregor nears an octagon return. During his UFC 282 post-fight press conference, White shut down this recent notion of the fight.
McGregor versus Michael Chandler?
I never said that ever fucking once. This is what happens when you do interviews and people listen to your interviews, and he said, so if Conor McGregor came back right now, who would you be looking at as an opponent? Well, I said, well, if he did, if that happened and that scenario played out right now, Chandler would be a fun fight. Never fucking once did I say we're doing Conor McGregor versus Chandler. I don't even know when Conor McGregor's coming back. And this is why I don't like to answer these kind of questions. Because some fucking idiot somewhere on the internet puts out that that's what I said, and it's not even remotely close to what I said.
A McGregor versus Chandler fight would likely be a pay-per-view blockbuster, although it appears that White isn't committed to the specifics of McGregor's impending return. Jiri Prochazka has strong reaction to UFC 282 main event. Former UFC light heavyweight champion Jiri Prochazka feels his stock remains cemented following the UFC 282 main event draw. Prochazka was supposed to face Glover Teixeira at the UFC's final pay-per-view card of 2022 before the injury. He earned the belt by finishing Teixeira late at UFC 275 earlier this year. I just watched the title fight, Procházka tweeted. Everyone knows who the champion is. Just give me some time. As Procházka heals his badly compromised shoulder, the UFC will hold another vacant title fight between Jamahal Hill and Teixeira at UFC 283 next month. White made the announcement during the UFC 282 post-fight press conference. This, by the way, took Anthony Smith by surprise. Smith was working the analyst desk for UFC 282 and was in the middle of the post-fight broadcast when news of Teixeira versus Hill broke, which was apparently not something the UFC warned Lionheart about beforehand. Take a look.
You know, White just announcing at the press conference, you guys, that Jamahal Hill will be fighting Glover Teixeira in January. I know, obviously, you're stunned by this news. Just a reaction for that light heavyweight title now between those two.
Yeah, that's a problem for me. That's a big problem for me. Yeah, I don't know. Obviously,
I have so much respect for you digesting this news right now because as your friend and colleague, to all of a sudden have that Jamahal Hill fight go away, and now he's going to be fighting Glover Teixeira for the title.
When Procházka eventually returns to the octagon, he'll likely have a chance to reclaim the light heavyweight throne. In the meantime, you'll watch to see who will be the placeholder upon his return. Jared Gordon claims he was robbed at UFC 282. The baddie earned a unanimous decision over Flash, to the chagrin of fans and pundits alike. After 3 rounds, the consensus was that Gordon should have had his hand raised, so when the judges' scorecards were read in favor of Pimblett, people were stunned. They met backstage right after the fight and had what we would call a friendly interaction. Take a look.
I want tough motherfucker, you know what?
fucking guy.
Lad, you are one tough motherfucker, lad. Lad, I've hit people with some of them shots and they just don't keep coming forward, lad.
I have
you
no
can
brain.
take a fucking punch, man.
You hit me and I'm like, eh.
Lad, I
Like
swear.
another guy that fucking hits me, right?
Lad, you can take a fucking shot with
Where's
that.
Mr. Portnoy?
I was robbed, everyone knows it, wrote Gordon on Twitter in response to the controversial loss. I can cry about it, but I've been back from worst and God's plan is the best plan. So I know there's something big to come from it. Gordon received support from fellow fighters, with most of them slamming the decision. However, Pimblett defended himself, saying he was pretty annoyed at people for using the word robbery to describe his win. Magomed Ankalaev believes he won the fight against Blachowicz. Magomed Ankalaev has cleared the air following his split draw against Jan Blachowicz at UFC 282. Coming up to the fight, Ankalaev was the favorite to win the light heavyweight belt, even receiving some encouraging messages from the Eagle himself, which certainly worked as motivation.
Хочу пожелать Магомеду удачи, здоровья, самое главное без травм, и пусть Аллах поможет, брат. Пусть ты и твоя команда привезет еще один пояс в Дагестан, и это будет еще одним утверждением того, что Дагестан – это самая сильная и самая лучшая школа в мире в единоборстве, как по любителям, так и по профессионалам. Удачи тебе, а мы будем смотреть, переживать. Удачи, брат.
After the fight, Joe Rogan interviewed Ankalaev, who had a translator with him. At one point, the translator claimed Ankalaev said this could be his last fight in the UFC due to poor judging. Ankalaev has since taken to his Twitter account to say the quote was mistranslated. I want to clear something up. What I said after the fight was I don't want to fight in this city anymore because of a horrible judging. I did not say anything about I don't want to fight in the UFC. I want to thank Dana White and Mick Maynard for the opportunity. UFC 282 was definitely one of the most controversial cards of the year. Do you think Ankalaev should be the current light heavyweight champion? Was Jared Gordon robbed? Let us know in the comments below. That's all for today's video. If you want to know the latest UFC news, subscribe to the channel, hit the notifications bell, and click the like button so you don't miss any details about the upcoming fights. Thanks for watching. See you soon.